This WebCity project Hangout. Hello, sir. Can we meet you?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My presenter, my name is Theophilus O. Michael, and I'm glad to be here today. You know, I like this program, Web City Project, launch our Hangout, and I'm really glad to be here today.
Yeah. I've learned so much about WebCity. What is this WebCity project all about?
Wonderful. So anytime I'm asked about this very question, what is Web City all about? I always put a smile on my face because WebCity Projects is designed to put smile on people's faces, and that's an amazing thing. So WebCity Project, um, to my best of knowledge, I discovered that people find it difficult to understand what it is. Of course, I'm not surprised because the concept is really amazing, and from the first contact, it may really beat your imagination. You need to be a little bit, confused or bamboozled by the richness of the concept and how it's going, because it's a high level and high thought and superior idea, and one can easily get swept up. So WebCity project by definition is a platform that creates a system that enable entities to connect to each other at amazing speed, and other entities provide us with solutions that enable us to meet our needs and solve our problems. So this definition may look a little bit, even more confusing, so to say. I say, what is meant by entities connecting to each other and providing solutions and all that. Now, I'm going to take it bit by bit, but to go ahead to bring it to the layman's understanding, it simply means a way of getting our problems solved more better, more faster, by creating synergies, by connecting solutions to problems. Very easy. What the challenge people are having to get the problem solved is that the amount of energy and resources that is required to get problem solved is what's really giving people a very big headache. Now, if you can provide a means, of course, we have learned from internet working. One of the one of the one of the world wonders I regard as such is the internet. Of course, networking is one of the world wonders. The way we connect to each other across the world is amazing. In a split of seconds, somebody can talk to someone across the world, maybe in America or US, anywhere, very fast. Now, at that speed, we can also solve our problems using those models. And if you can be able to employ those models into meeting our problems, solving our problems, meeting our needs, securing our society, that would be an amazing thing. Now, the problem is how to get this thing done. And that's exactly what WebCity is all about. How to create entities. We identify entities. Then now we connect those entities. Every entity has sub-entities, and too many of them. Just like as a human being we have so many skills to do a lot of things. We wash our clothes, we iron our clothes, we watch television, we keep our house neat. We do a lot of things. One person. Now, in the same way the entities behave, we have a single entity can connect us to multiple other similar entities. Those entities is now harnessed, put together in a well-organized way. Then they produce what is called, the properties, which is the solutions those entities, provide. Then we can from there now meet our needs, solve our problems. If you have financial problem, if it's health, if it's security, whatever it might be, if it's managing our business as a tool, then those entities can take care of it. That's what it's all about. And not only that, we do it in a more advanced way. We employ the latest technology to make sure we meet those. Most of all these things are very sophisticated, and that's why we go as far as exploiting the full length of technology to make sure we unleash all these, capabilities, all these solutions in a way that will be more efficient. So that's exactly what it is all about. And as we go in this Hangout programs, I will expatiate more on what it's not something that you can grab easily. But with time goes on, keep on following us, keep on following you know, our social handles on WebCity, on Twitter, WebCity on Facebook, WebCity on YouTube. You're going to learn more about what WebCity Project is all about. WebCity Project is a platform to start with. It's a trademark, but it's more than that when we, put them, apply them into our daily business or daily life and things like that matters to us most. So we see that it is even just more than a platform. So I think that's just it for now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You earlier enumerated or mentioned something about entity. So, and it seemed as if there are quite a lot of them. So, out of all of these entities you enumerated earlier, so which of them do you want to talk about
Yes. Today
to,
and some other time we'll look at more in depth the language entity project. If you go to our website, our WebCity project website, www.webcity.icu, and go to our project section, the first project we have there is language. Out of all the projects, we have about 700 projects coming up on the pipeline anyway. But we have some handful of projects, about 9 of them I've already highlighted. So then language entity is our first, launch or taking up. Then what do we pick interest in language? Now you look at me, I'm speaking to you in English, and because that's the only way I can be able to communicate or for you to understand what I have in my mind. So looking at Africa, language is our challenge here. So the first project we choose here is language. Language entity project is very important. For us to develop Africa, we have to develop our language first. Our language must be developed first. Now, if we can develop our language, that to the extent that we can use our language in research works, in universities, in literary works, in virtually in everything, then that is only when we can, because our language is our culture, our heritage, our values, is us as people. But if we cannot develop our language, it's very difficult for us to appreciate the civilizations already sweeping around the world, because those things still also drag us back. So developing our language, identifying our language, and developing them to become competitive. The global competitiveness in our language is very, very important. And that is why we're starting from that point, because it's like every human language is the origin. I will know how language is very important to our development. Because for you to communicate, for you to interact, for you to share ideas, for you to do anything, you must use human language. And having said that, we see how important our language is. If you look at, some of the devices and gadgets that's coming to Africa, most of them doesn't speak our language. In fact, almost all of them, they're all English or some other language that is not native to Africa. So we cannot continue to do that. If you look at China, China is doing a lot. They're very aggressive, and some other Asian countries, they make sure that most of things happening there is, use their native language. Then when it comes to Africa, we are forced to use one language. Of course, for a very long time, when I was a kid, I was taught English in the school, and at the point when somebody even want to, learn your native language, say, hey, why are you learning your native? We already know that, but we don't know that we are doing harm to ourselves. Now it's very clear that we are doing very harm to ourselves, and if you continue with this, this ugly trend, it's going to be more disastrous. Africa cannot develop more than this language. If we want to develop very fast as Europe and America, our language must be developed immediately. And Creative Web Studio is the first indigenous ICT company in Africa to start this journey. Of course, I'm not saying that some of the languages in Africa, have not been digitized, but the number of them is quite low. And if you look at very well, people embarking on those projects are white. They are not from, their origin is not even from Africa. They were African and be part of the team, but not fully indigenous country. So we are trying to start this project. We already started it, of course, because the portal is on for, for the team that will participate in the translation of African languages. So first of all, we want to identify those languages. There's nothing like minority language. When you have a gadget like our phones we use, if you open your phone and go to the language settings, you discover that you have only English and 1 or 2 languages across Africa. Africa is, I think, if you can take number of languages in Africa, you may get up to 1,000 or more. We are so much blessed with those diversities. It's a blessing, of course, but we need to make it a blessing. Why else become like a curse? So we are taking language entity first, because that is the origin of life. Origin of life. Without the language, you cannot be able to do anything as a human being, and that's what makes us human. Our language makes us human. If you have a pet like a dog in the house, the ability of that pet to understand is, well, when you say something or you give a sign, those are languages. But for us as humans, we speak, we talk, we make sounds that are very coherent and visible. Then we can be able to understand what you're trying to communicate and attend to those things. So WebCity project, entity project like the language entity project is very, very important. Well, that's why we're starting it first. We've already started already, and people are already joining across Africa. First of all, we are looking at African languages first. It's now Africa first. So we're only looking at African languages first. We are going to develop all African languages. This is a project of 5 years or more. We believe that in the next 5 years, all the gadgets coming to Africa or manufacturing within Africa has our native languages. If you are speaking TV, Bini, Yoruba, Igbo, name it across Africa, Oromo, whatever language you're speaking across Africa, you can see that your systems in the house, and in this house is really speaking the same language with you, which is going to be amazing. So if that is done, that means Africa is now back on track.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So having said all of that, where are you now on the project? So what's the progress so far?
Beautiful. We have started, like I said before, we are on now. And good enough from little, outings we've done, trying to sensitize people, because it's not easy. The decay in our system across Africa have eaten so deep that people are, to an extent, they are becoming like confused, and they're becoming like, some of them have even given up. And especially you see that, fatigue coming from the young people. Some people are like giving up, some people like the level of, Western life integrations, and because they look at like Africa doesn't have their own. So let's look at people that have it. But it's not true. Africa will have our own. So we started doing a lot of amazing things. We have created a portal where we're inviting people from all languages, from all tribes in Africa. Africa is one thing we're talking about right now. So we have opened a portal to recruit team members that will join us in translation. Now, some people say these are minorities, these are majorities. There's nothing like that. All languages are born equal. All languages are born equal. Even if it's one person speaking that language, all languages are born equal. So there's nothing like saying that this is a minority, this is a majority. Nothing like that. All our languages are very, very important. There's one thing very, very secret about languages. Every language comes with its own creativity. Now, Africa have so many diverse languages, which means we are endowed with all these languages as a resource. So if we're going to harvest them, we're going to see a massive resources that are going to develop Africa. Our languages alone come with its own level of pattern of creativity, which is very important. So that's why I'm very much interested. Now, language has been a barrier in sub-Saharan Africa, and that's been a challenge. We don't know most of the security challenges we're facing because diversity in languages. Somebody may be in a place, and when you speak in a native language, they don't understand, they feel insecure because they don't understand it, and they don't know what you're up to. So therefore, they may start having some misgiving. So we are trying to break those barriers. And in international trade community, we discovered that African languages are limited. So we are skimmed out of things. When you look at international community or trade in whatever, they say that African languages are not used in most of international trade. They use either English or use Spanish or use French or some other one. Now, why we are the main base of world, economy, let's say natural resources. If you talk about the natural resources in Africa, I think we have large quantity of it, and that's why the Westerns and all that everybody's looking up to Africa because of our natural resources. But now we have even more above the ground. People are looking at under the ground, but we have even more above the ground, and that is African languages. So we need to do something about that. Now we have a portal we have set up, and we have used some adverts trying to get people to join. But some people that join are not quite aware because they have not seen that in Africa. In fact, this is the first time this is happening around Africa. They have not seen a company that come up. Of course, there are some handful of little translations by some missionaries or churches or some other institutions, but it's not in a wider scale. It's just for a kind of ad hoc purposes. Maybe you want to translate a literature from English or to a language. Now we discover most of the languages we have in Nigeria have no dictionaries. Igbos may have dictionaries, some other handful of languages may have dictionaries, but and a lot of them doesn't have their language dictionaries, which is not very good at all. So we're going to do a lot. In fact, there will be a massive